Start at 6 with a story you will only see here at this hour. A teenager wanted for a murder in a violent robbery back in front of a juvenile court judge today after months on the run.
He avoided an automatic life sentence because it was not a capital murder conviction.
On June 16, 2000, Tay K was born in Long Beach, California. He was born surrounded by gang life, and even his parents were gang members themselves. His mother used to take care of him and his sister all by herself, while his father was in jail for 7 years after a drug deal gone wrong. Growing up without a father figure in his life was bound to have an effect on him, and eventually his mother wasn't able to take care of the kids by herself anymore, so Tay K went into foster care. He and his sister went through multiple different houses in the foster care system, and their childhood wasn't like most. But eventually, Tay K's mother was able to move the family to Las Vegas, and they finally escaped the gang life back in Cali. But the family only stayed there for about a year until Tay K's dad got out of prison in 2009. When they moved to Arlington, Texas, he went to Young Junior High and Martin High School. After school, Tay K was dealing with an abusive father that would punish them for the smallest things. His toxic home life had him wanting to stay at friends' houses, and eventually it led him to the streets. In 2014, he started a rap group with his friends Pimp and Santana Sage called the Daytona Boys. They were spending their time freestyling, skipping school, and smoking weed. Around this time, he was going by the name Tay K 47, but over the years, he would just go by Tay K. The Daytona Boys were dropping music on SoundCloud, and this was when Tay K was making his first songs. After he got kicked out of Martin in freshman year for being caught with weed, at 15 years old, his only choice was to be out there in the streets grinding. At night, he used to sleep over at Pimp's house, while in the day, they were out there doing interviews, doing shows, and also robbing people because they were broke. Tay K was really starting to get involved in the Dallas scene. For example, did you know that he was on stage with Playboi Carti back in 2015? The Daytona Boys were on that underground grind, but they were only really known locally in the Arlington area. But one night would change everything.
Okay, Dan, thank you. A former Marine who shot and killed a University of North Texas student during a tense exchange is going to prison.
How much time Eric Jamal Johnson will serve for the killing of Sara Mutschlechner is still up to a jury.
On December 31st, 2015, Santana Sage drove the Daytona Boys to a New Year's Eve party in Denton, Texas. After the clock hit midnight and everyone was done partying, Santana Sage was driving home with Tay K and Pimp in the back seat, and they stopped at a red light. A couple of people from the same party they were just at rolled up at the same light. Santana rolled down the window and started hitting on a girl in the car next to him. There was a dude in the car with her, and he told Santana he was gonna beat his ass. After he said that, Santana pulled out a strap and he let out a couple of shots. And unfortunately, he ended up hitting the girl in the head, and that car ended up crashing off the side of the road. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Santana Sage got arrested only days later, and even though Tay K and Pimp were in the car with them, they got off scot-free just because they were minors. The thrill of getting to walk away from that situation with no consequences definitely had them thinking they were invincible. While they got no punishment, Santana Sage was on trial after the incident. Apparently, a friend told on him in a DM basically confirming the situation happened, and during the trial, he was telling a different story than what actually happened. He claimed he let out shots because he got called a slur, and that he didn't mean to hit nobody, but that didn't stop him from getting sentenced to 44 years in prison. Like I said, Tay K felt invincible after getting out of that case with no jail time, and that would encourage him to lead a life of crime. With no diploma, no place to live, and no money, things weren't looking too good for Tay K. Desperate to survive, it wouldn't take long for him to think of a plan. In July of 2016, Tay K was one of 7 people that planned to rob a kid named Zachary in Mansfield, Texas. Apparently, they were looking to rob his place for money and substances because it was a trap house. The mastermind behind this whole plan was actually Zachary's girlfriend. Everybody met up in an apartment the night of the robbery to figure out the plan. Zach's girlfriend was finna go with 2 of her friends to meet with Zach, and they told him they was just finna smoke. But what Zach don't know is he about to get backdoored by his own girlfriend. The plan was one of the girls would unlock the front door and everybody would come in and rob the house. Tay K's friend Pimp had brass knuckles while two dudes went and got guns. Tay K wasn't armed, but he was finna look around the house to find stuff. After the girls came to the house around 5 p.m., Tay K and everybody else were waiting in the car down the street. They were waiting for a text message to come in and tell them when to bust through the front door. But they couldn't go through with the plan immediately because the house was packed. Tay K and them were waiting for 5 hours, and around 10 p.m., the girls unlocked the door when no one was looking and they sent the message. Tay K, Pimp, and two other dudes bust through the front door. And Tay K and Pimp are looking around the house while Zach and his friend Ethan are being held at gunpoint by the two others. One of the gunmen panicked in the middle of the robbery and ended up pulling the trigger on Ethan. Zach also got hit but managed to survive, but Ethan never lived to tell the tale. Tay K never knew somebody was gonna die that night, and he only thought they were just stealing some money. It turns out they never found nothing, and after shots went off, Tay K and them left the building, but everyone got caught. In the interrogation room, Tay K was actually shedding tears because of what happened that night. While the cops were trying to figure it all out, he was in juvie for a couple of weeks, but then he was living with his sister on house arrest. This went on for months. He invited people to come to the apartment to record songs, but this couldn't distract him from the fact that even though he was 16, they were going to charge him as an adult. The stress got to him, and after 8 months being stuck on house arrest, he had enough and went on Twitter to say he was going on the run. Tay K cut off his ankle monitor and left the apartment in the middle of the night. He and his friend Pimp were laying low for a few weeks in San Antonio, and just a month after escaping house arrest, they planned to rob a photographer because they were desperate for money. They met up outside a parking garage and they got him in a car. They were trying to rob him of everything, including his camera equipment. When they were kicking him out the car, that's when he started shouting for help. Tay K was trying to run him over, but the guy jumped on the hood of the car. They pulled up right outside of Chick-fil-A, and the guy stood up and started kicking the windshield. He managed to break it, and Tay K got pissed off. So after this, he leaned out the window, shot him, and left him to die. For the moment, Tay K and Pimp had money and camera equipment, and they were on the way to Arlington, Texas. A month later, Tay K robbed a 65-year-old man at Cravens Park on the morning of May 25th, 2017. He told him to give over his wallet and pulled out a strap. The old man tried walking away, but Tay K knocked him to the ground. The man suffered internal bleeding on the brain and 3 broken ribs after the robbery. Around the same time, Tay K and Pimp figured out the cops were coming for them, and they knew they had to leave quick. Tay K actually knew people up in New Jersey, so they decided they were gonna go drive there, lay low, and stay with some friends. It took almost 24 hours to get there, but once they did, Tay K was recording music, and in New Jersey, he made a song called The Race.
Can I go out my way? Hey, can I go out my way? Hey, 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 hey,
In his video for The Race, Tay K 47 raps about shooting someone, trying to beat the case, and then when he can't, running. The video has more than 2 million views since it posted after Tamor McIntyre was captured last month.
He was rapping about the fact he was on the run from police, talking about robbing, killing, shooting. He said free Pimp because he actually got caught back in May. Tay K was basically telling on himself. He dropped the song on SoundCloud, and for the moment, it was only getting attention from his fans. But in the meantime, the cops were still looking for him when he was wanted by police. Tay K was getting on the news for this, and that was only the beginning. He recorded the music video for The Race for free up in New Jersey, and the video was ready. But Tay K decided to wait before dropping it. The cops knew he was hiding out in New Jersey, so they put out wanted posters, and in the music video, he's standing right next to his own wanted poster. He really saw the opportunity and ran with it. He spent the last couple of weeks of freedom hiding out at a friend's house before the cops found him and arrested him. After 3 months on the run, he dropped the music video the same day he got arrested. This was the perfect marketing opportunity because he knew damn well this would get on the news. It went viral instantly. Not only was the song good, what really blew the song up was obviously the insane backstory. The story of a 17-year-old rapping about being on the run from police shocked the world back in 2017. And the news of him getting arrested definitely helped his name spread even further. At the time, everybody was just figuring out who he is, so you had a lot of people saying free Tay K without knowing what the hell he actually did. Everybody was remixing it. You had rappers like Travis Scott shouting him out. He was doing interviews from inside jail. He was all over the place. The Race was getting hundreds of thousands of views a day, and it eventually went platinum. In the middle of all this, Tay K signed a record deal while he was in jail for murder. The label helped him release his mixtape Santana World, named after his friend Santana Sage. The tape did pretty good, spawning hits like Murder She Wrote, Lemonade, and I Love My Chopper. Tay K is actually the only artist to have a song go platinum without ever performing it on stage. Even though he was getting all this success, he was still in jail. For the moment, no one knew what was coming in the future, and there was a chance Tay K could have been the next O.J. Simpson, but before his trial started, he did a lot of weird things behind bars. He tried telling the guards he popped a bunch of pills and heard voices in his head in an attempt to get out of jail, but that didn't work. Apparently, he banged somebody's head against the wall, threatened guards. He was a drug dealer in jail and was even using his own supply. He got caught with his cell phone hidden in a sock, and Tay K tried flushing it down the toilet, and he also tried fighting the guard who caught him. All of this shit got him sent to solitary confinement in a maximum security prison. But he somehow got another phone in jail, because in 2018 he posted a photo on Twitter from jail. And out of all things, he started a gang inside prison. In 2019, his trial finally started, and he was an adult at this point. He was on trial for being at the scene of the robbery that led to Ethan Walker getting shot and killed back in 2016. He turned down a plea deal and was trying to plead not guilty, but for some reason he pled guilty for the robbery charges but not for the murder charges. His lawyer tried his best to make Tay K look good.
The girls planned this. They set it up, and the boys were supposed to come in and hold everybody off, and Tay K had a bag. He was going to get the money and the drugs from under the couch and run back out.
But it didn't help that they figured out that Tay K asked for his own weapon before the robbery. They showed the music video and the lyrics for the race in court as evidence for what he did. On top of the fact that he admitted to being involved in the robbery way back in 2016 in the interrogation room. I'm pretty sure the fact that he cut off his ankle monitor and escaped house arrest didn't help either. Tay K was found guilty of the murder of Ethan Walker. Even though he never pulled the trigger, under Texas law, he was guilty of the murder charge because he was still involved in the robbery and there was enough evidence to show he was there on purpose. And this got him sentenced to 55 years behind bars. He would be eligible for parole in 2047, so he's guaranteed to be in there for 28 years. Zach's girlfriend was cooperating with police and ended up only getting 10 years of probation, no jail time. Megan got sentenced to 20 years and the other girl got 25 years. The guy who actually pulled the trigger and killed Ethan got life in prison with no parole, so he's never coming home. And for some reason, he tried saying he didn't remember pulling the trigger as a defense. The dude who injured Zach got 40 years, just barely dodging a life sentence and the death penalty. Tay K's friend Pimp got 30 years, and he actually turned down a deal that would shorten his sentence to 20 years if he told on Tay K. No matter what, Pimp wasn't gonna snitch on his friend. After everyone got sentenced and put behind bars, you'd think that would be the end of it. But even after Tay K got put in prison, he was still facing lawsuits from the parents of Ethan Walker and Zachary. And another lawsuit from the parents of the guy he killed at Chick-fil-A. He was sued in 2 separate lawsuits for $1 million each for profiting off of their deaths. 5 years go by, and in November 2024, Tay K was brought in court again to face murder charges from the incident at Chick-fil-A back in 2017. The trial started in February 2025, and if Tay K's guilty, he's gonna be sentenced to life without parole. Basically, if that happens, he's never coming home. Tay K's the poster child of a misguided kid that hung around the wrong people. His abusive home life definitely pushed him out to the streets, but there is no excuse for the blood on his hands. Even though he never pulled the trigger on Sara or Ethan Walker, he definitely did something to Mark Saldivar outside of Chick-fil-A. He profited off the death and destruction, the real life stories he mentioned on songs, and for that, he paid the price with his freedom. You only get one shot in this life, and sometimes you can't stop nobody from f***ing it all up.